So I'm just going to bring a few things up because I find that these movies are so amazing. The movie that I want you guys to see is called The Seventh Sign with Demi Moore. And in the movie, there's a capital punishment that's going to happen. And it does happen because this is for, it's not for entertainment at all. It's to tell you what the movie's about. So it's a spoiler alert because I want you to watch it. And in the movie, this man has Down syndrome. And he has been wrongfully convicted of a crime, a murder, obviously. And this Down syndrome man is put to death through the state. And I said this about Marcellus Williams in a previous live, but the one that's got me shook, watch Seventh Sign. It's about Yeshua. The line that reverberates through the movie is, would you die for him? Throughout the movie, if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And now we're facing a man with autism whose daughter had a massive fever, who fell off the bed. She was about 3 years old, and he rushed her to the hospital. And because he had an affect that was emotionless, he was diagnosed, by the way, later on by the, jail authorities, in psychiatry. He was diagnosed with autism. Now, as you well know, maybe you don't, autism has many spectrums and has many faces. Autism is an interesting neurodivergent quality that we still haven't tapped into, but I digress. Let's go back to Robertson. On October 17th, he's going to be put to death on the fact that he went in with his particular issue of autism, being emotionless, being absolutely having no affect, no anger, no pain, no sadness. God knows what happened to him. He looks like he's in his 50s. It looks like it. And he was never diagnosed in public schools. Why am I not shocked? And went through his whole life never getting the kind of care he needed, obviously just being looked at as a problem child. And then this incident happened with his daughter. Only incident that ever happened with him, from what I've gathered. And now he's being put to death on October 17th because they didn't think he had enough emotion. So they decided that he committed something against his daughter. And it's very parallel because now we're looking at mental divergence. I hate the word mental illness because it shames people. Mental divergence. I agree with that. Some people see things and they really aren't spiritually tapped in, and some people see things and they're spiritually tapped in. So what I'm seeing here, if you watch the movie The Seventh Sign, Seventh, Seventh Sign with Demi Moore, remarkable movie where Yeshua is wrapped into the movie, believe it or not, and it's about the last soul. The last soul. And the reverberating line, will you die for him? And here suddenly I'm watching this man who has autism, it's official, who didn't beat up his daughter. She had a fever. She rolled off the bed. She harmed herself. And he took her to the hospital. And they did what we all fear, especially with CPS having the bad reputation. In fact, there's a couple chicks that have come out, former CPS employees, who are now throwing CPS across the country under the fucking bus, as they well deserved. And so I guess they decided that he had committed, she died in the hospital. And so that would deserve a death penalty instead of him going to a mental a hospital, a mental hospital institution where he could get the care he needed, where he could process the death of his daughter, whether or not he did it. I don't know what this obsession it is with America, where it thinks it's okay, that capital punishment is okay, period, okay? Because if you've ever heard any of these convicts, they take care of their own when a pedo goes in. Many of them don't survive. Okay? So, to put this man to death for a lot of hearsays and assumptions and bullshit, and you have to understand, we put these people in really, we respect them way too much. They don't deserve our respect. Respect is earned. And we keep believing in these people because they have their PhDs. I'm not trying to put anyone down that actually worked their ass off, has a PhD, is spiritually aligned, has a spiritual compass, knows right from wrong. I'm talking about the assholes that have them and then use it to destroy people's lives. So this man needs our help. And again, I invite you to watch the movie The Seventh Sign, because that movie I watched many times over the course of years, because I was fascinated by this whole, because again, I've been chasing Yeshua since I was 8. Chasing Buddha, chasing Krishna, chasing all of these amazing souls that walked this planet. And Yeshua in particular was part of my heart search, because one of my very most traumatic past lives, I was a nun in around the 16th century in Italy. I'll never forget. Being forced to fast on water and being able to smell, that's how hungry I was, smell the cabbage and the radishes and the carrots, because the vegetable garden was below my window. These religions have bastardized these incredible, beautiful souls. And one of the reasons why I kept watching The Seventh Sign, I think I'm going to cry, was because it was the question, would you die for him? Would you die for him? And you'll see a Roman centurion beating Yeshua. Now, if you've ever seen The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson, who was also demonized and run out of Hollywood as if he was some kind of pariah, like he was a pedo. It's interesting how they throw people out that fucking speak the truth, isn't it? And it's interesting how many of us who have massive passions, who have righteous anger, are looked at as, not balanced. It usually comes from pedos. It usually comes from people who support that shit. And I'm generalizing, I'm aware of that. But I'm doing it for a reason, because I want to trigger you. So, this man might not make it. Okay? Thank you for the roses. And so I'd like you to call and try to stop this. And so I'm going to give you the number. And again, this is Robert Robertson. He's dying October 17th, 2024. So when you add 2024, that's 8 in numerology. Excuse me for my throat chakra. When I get upset, you'll hear this. So 2024 is 8. It's karma. It's paying karma. 17 is the star of the Magi. It's also 8, karma. So 8 plus 8 is 16. October is 1, because it's 10, it's 1. It's 17. 17 is something that means you will be remembered long after you're gone. It means that. It means immortality. There's a lot of numbers. See, I look at numbers. When I look at somebody who's about to go, and their life is going to be stolen, ripped out of them. So I'm going to give you the number. The number is 1, right? 361-264-9653. And I'm going to repeat it 3 times. 361 area code 264-9653. One more time. 361-264-9653. Okay. So when I look at 361 area code, it's 10. When I look at 263, it's 12. 12 is sacrificing the victim. Okay, just so you know. When I look at 9-6, it's 15, which is 6, the magician. And when I look at 5-3, it's 8. Okay? Again, so when we add these up, okay, I'm doing it on a piece of paper, so excuse me if I'm slow. And if you guys want to do it, oh no, those numbers sound ominous for his fate. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Thank you, Jennifer. So, attends une minute. Alors, ça fait 1, attends, alors 4, 10. It's 18. It comes out to 18. The number 18 is spiritual material conflict. It turns out to 9. 9 is God's perfect master number. Good phone number, actually, in terms of getting that phone number, but it says a lot. So 10 is the wheel of fortune. 12 is the victim and the sacrifice. 15 is the magician that turns into 6, which is co-creation with the universe, love, Venus, planet. 8 is karma. Okay. Comes out to 18, which is 9. If I'm not correct, please correct me. Okay, pull out your calculators and correct me. Watch the movie The Seventh Sign, and then post the shit out of any videos, any content. I don't create a lot of content on these things, to be honest. I'm being honest with you. I do lives. This is how I do it. This is how I do my bit for God and country, if you will. Because I've noticed that people don't, like, I do a certain thing. You probably guys know what I do, but this is not about me, but I'm explaining why you don't see me doing a lot of content. One of those reasons is my videos get flashed, banned, or pulled down, or whatever, for misinformation. That's one thing. For some reason, that doesn't happen when I do lives. That's another thing. And I'm trying to do the work that I do for my family, but I'm also trying to spread the words. So the way some of you could go around the machine is to do what I do, which is lives. Does that make sense? Keep your content with what you do, but do lives and do snippets of your live and then move them to YouTube, which is what I've been doing, if you've noticed. So this is the way you can, those are backdoor ways of rebelling against the machine. Because at the end of the day, we have to fucking win. So I'm just showing you what I do, so maybe you can do the same. Because some of you, your accounts are under duress. And you need a backup account. I don't have one because I got all kinds of shysters doing backup accounts on mine. Anyway, fuck this. The point is, let's go back to this. Sorry. So Robert Robertson, being an autistic person, now I'm going to bring you back to autism, okay? And if you hear my voice, I am crying. There's a young African-American man who can draw to the most minute detail landscape of cities. You and I could never do that if we had a pew-pew to our head, since they want us to use baby words. I forgot his name, but he's an amazing artist, and they've taken him to Rome, and one aerial view, literally one helicopter ride, and they'll give him like almost like a 360 degree room with paper, I guess, and he will draw every fucking thing, and he is accurate. I believe he's done it with New York City. I don't know, but I know he did it with Rome. These people's brains, we haven't even learned how to use them. And when I mean use them, I mean use it for the greater good of the collective. Some of these kids with autism, adults today, are telepathic, but they're treated like they're stupid because they're nonverbal. This man couldn't show his feelings. He couldn't show his feelings. As a matter of fact, one of the aspects of autism is they can't express their feelings. Einstein was nonverbal till he was 4. My son was nonverbal till he was 4, basically. And the way they do this is they rock, and they are fascinated by things that we're not fascinated by. They have mathematical minds. They have photographic memory. They are brilliant minds. And it's almost like if I told you there's a gold mine right outside your door and you've decided not to go mine it. If I said that to you, and I said there's a gold mine, and you decided, we would all think there's something wrong with you. But that's exactly what we're doing with these people. So because this man, I swear to God, read the articles. Read the articles on this man. Because he didn't cry, and because he didn't do anything, we don't know how he was raised. A lot of these kids who are autistic are treated like shit, and they're essayed by pedos because no one will believe them. And I know for a fact why, because I have friends. Unfortunately, many of us who had our children in 1998 and 2000, many of us, unfortunately, I know too many people that have children on the spectrum. Too many. And one of my very dear friends, her child was essayed multiple times in school and by guardians or whatever. And they finally were able to find out why her son was, at the age of 9, was bashing his head through the window. Okay? So we don't know why he didn't have affect. We don't know if he was told not to cry, not to rock. We don't know if he was being physically abused and he was trained like a dog, abused like dogs are and animals are, right? That's how they treat kids on the spectrum quite often. I know this. I've been through the system. It's not like I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. And we don't know why he developed a non-affect. It could have been he was born with it. It could have been it was trained. It was beaten into him. We don't know. And so because he didn't cry when she passed, they decided he had done it. And so now he's facing the death penalty. And I'm sorry, as Americans, we better stop being a country that decides that that's the answer. Because every time we do it, it's usually not 100% a tight case. We like empathy. We're better than that. There was a time all over the world, as you all know, they would do executions and people would bring their kids like it was a party and fucking eat and celebrate and vie for pieces of the hair locks or a finger, whatever. I mean, just barbaric shit. We're better than that, I hope. Because every time we've done it, we've abused it. We just did it with Marcellus Williams, right? So this is an opportunity for all of you, all hands on deck. Now I'm going to talk about capital punishment and karma. Because as a psychic, as a spiritualist, as a reader, as an Akashic reader, I've seen in action in the last, say, 15 years how karma works. And it's a bitch. Now, just so you understand, let me kind of bring you back to karma. There's good karma, bad karma. You gain good karma, it can tie you up just as well as bad karma. That's another discussion, not today. But karma, for hundreds of years, sometimes was not, the justice of it was not felt until the next incarnation. But in the last 15 years, I'd say even as far back as 20, I've seen karma in action. The retribution is damn near immediate, within days, weeks, or months. I think part of the things that we have to do as Americans is realize that capital punishment is when we have somebody like a serial murderer. And then it's appropriate, maybe, under your system. Personally, me, I don't think it's okay at all. Frankly, personally, me, I hope they live till they're fucking 102. Isolated. And they will be isolated, let me just say. Because many of these guys don't tolerate that shit. You know, honor among thieves, yeah, there's a code. There's a code. There's a brutality, too. And unless you are a badass, you're not going to survive, or it's going to be very unpleasant. So the irony, is that the very karma you want them to enjoy, not enjoy, be brutalized by, the best thing you could actually do is have them live a long fucking life. To be honest. But in some cases, like this man who I just heard of, 3 days ago, I've been sitting with this, to be honest. I've been sitting with this. I've been sitting with this because I was trying to figure out how to explain to you how the karma of our country is going through a massive, it's a massive clearing and cleansing. The things we're hearing is beyond, there are no horror movies that can match it. The things we're hearing from Ali Carter, the fuckery from Diddy, the people who have supposed tapes that they won't fucking release. You believe that? They have tapes that won't. One guy said, I have the tapes, but if I release it, the whole thing's going to collapse. Do you know what the comments were? Fucking let it collapse. You guys are all sick of the bullshit. And here's this poor man who's done nothing wrong, as far as we know. There's not enough proof. Yet CPS has brought children. I could tell you shit I was reading in 2004 and 2005 about CPS and their fuckery. Bringing kids back to foster care homes where the child perished from malnutrition. Made to eat its own feces. And they continue and they continue. But this man brought his kid that fell off the bed with a fever to ER and was cuffed and then is facing the death penalty. You tell me how that fucking makes sense. There is a bloodthirst that is ugly. And we as Americans better start waking the fuck up. Because we're failing. We're failing. We just saw what many of us could do with prayer. Now there's people saying, prayer worked. It was prayer. That was the only thing that worked. The arrogance better stop. We all did it in our own ways. From Wiccas to Jewish people, to Muslim people, to Christian people, Buddhists, and us who are on another train. We're on a different train. That doesn't make us any better than the others. The fact that we remember more is our gift to ourselves and to those who are like us, so we can find each other in the streets of this country and other countries. But we all did it. So what the connection, and I mentioned this before, this movie before, Seventh Sign with Demi Moore, the connection with the Down syndrome man in the movie Seventh Sign and this man with autism is frightening to me. Because now the holographic universe is showing us something that we need to pay attention to, if that makes sense. I hope I make sense. Sorry about this little, hang on. Do you create the artwork you show in the background? Yes, through AI. You have good reposts, though. I have a lot of reposts. Thank you for saying that and for seeing my reposts. I appreciate it. I repost a lot of shit, and I'm sorry if I'm a pain in the ass. You mean like divine retribution? Yes. I don't understand how a nation that claims to be Christian or believe in God can do something like that and oppose Roe versus Wade. It's okay when you're in the womb of a woman, but not okay when a man is or woman is fully formed. Yeah, the hypocrisy doesn't. Do you realize God's not stupid, right? Clearly, he created all of us with our different thoughts and opinions and free will. He created the archangels, he, she. And I'm not saying that on a woke thing, he, she, when I say that. To me, God is an energy of pure love, and God can actually manifest itself in any way it wants, by the way, just so you know. Just like our guides will come to us in one incarnation as a masculine or a feminine, as brown, black, Asian, white, whatever we want. Whatever we need, actually. It's whatever we need. So our guides will come to us in the form we need. Okay, just like when you connect with a dead person that you loved, right? Like your grandfather, he'll come to you as your grandfather because you remembered him as an old man. But if you ask them, how do you really look? It'll show you either their best self or it'll show themselves in electricity, this beautiful soul sparkling, right? So, but let's go back to this gentleman who might be an oracle to the seventh sign. Would you die for him? And so my question to you is, we all know we're going to perish. I mean, we all have an expiration date. It's really fucking simple. And the lack of courage that we've incurred over these decades is kind of shocking to me. I kind of understand apathy, but not to this level of cowardice. And we need to kind of start shaking out of that. Because you see, even though we know that the new earth is upon us, its hot breath is on our neck, we're not going to turn around and see it with new transcendental eyes unless we make steps towards it. You want to lose weight? Kumbaya, wonderful, but you can't do it meditating. You got to get off your ass and go sweat. Everything has to have an action in this particular 3D planet that we live on. So if we want, this new earth to really barrel into our hearts, and so we can embrace it and squeeze it and give it to everyone we love and to people we'll never meet, so that the abundance is for everyone. One of the things we have to do is stand against injustice. So we saw the injustice of the hurricanes, and of course there's more fuckery coming, but we can actually push it back as a collective consciousness, individually wanting the same things. What is that? Abundance for everyone, peace for everyone, the imbalance gone. And capital punishment in this country should not be acceptable at all. I think Texas has made a mockery of this law, a mockery. And Texas needs to be fucking shown. Do not spend your money there anymore. We need to, just like we boycotted Cuba, why I don't know, and they seem to have done really much better now without our influence. I could tell you other stories, but I don't want to go there because it's too. But let's just say that even while it was happening, many millionaires were going on their little yachts to go there to get girls and cigars. Okay, so these laws are a joke. Okay, number one, they're a joke. The hypocrisy runs so deep, it's insane. That's on a side note. But Robert Robertson doesn't deserve this. And for all I know, his face may show absolutely nothing, but he might be howling inside. Most likely he is howling inside. He might be rocking. He might be hugging himself. We don't know. We don't know. They're not going to report that because it would show emotions. And I don't think he has any family. I hadn't seen any results of that. I mean, clearly he was raising his daughter on his own. You know what I mean? So we're winning. We need to unite. My videos had people of all faiths supporting each other. Good. So many blind people. Yes. Fear of false evidence appearing real. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Fear equals false evidence appearing real. I've noticed in the last couple of years, people who wrong me experience karma immediately in days. Exactly. Thank you for being a testament to what I just said. Thank you. That helps, because a lot of people, I just saw somebody making a stupid comment saying, all the rich people aren't having any karma. And I went, what are you talking about? And he went, read it again. Take your time. I've never seen a rich person get karma. I'm like, dude, read it again. Get off your little pony. Okay, so my point is that we all know how karma is working. And I'm not going to get politically incorrect. I know you guys can put two and two together, okay? There's also retribution by injustice, by forces that wield injustice and have been doing it for centuries. Case in point, when Macron decided to pull any arms, any support of Israel, what happened? Here comes Hurricane, Kirk through Portugal into, which Andromeda had told me about. I had no fucking idea, okay? Into France. So my point to you is that we're going to get blasted for standing in our light. But I can assure you that there are forces of light that are really standing with us and for us. Trust me. And they're giving us the light codes of ascension to give us the strength and courage. Courage. Will you die for him? The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. Because your immortality is not in these temporary bodies. Your immortality is confirmed. No one can steal that from you, ever. So here we have this weird connection between this movie, The Seventh Sign, and Robert Robertson, the Down syndrome person, the autism person, the person with autism, October 17th. I'm going to give you the phone number again. If somebody can type it up on the screen, that would be very lovely of you. So it's area code 361, 264-9653. Again, it's 361-264-9653. And his name is Robert Robertson. October 17th. We've done the numerology. It's not good. Celebrate, speak what we need into existence, and act on your intuition. Thank you very much. Jennifer, for typing it out. I really appreciate it. So please do a screenshot of this. And his name is Robert Robertson. Please call, flood the fucking phones. Text if you will, if you can, unless it's a landline. Go online, look him up, flood the fucking phones. Text if you will, if you can, unless it's a landline. Go online, look him up. See if there's Marcellus Williams, and nothing happened. You could look into that man's eyes and see resignation. I saw him being interviewed. He said there's no justice. He didn't believe in the system, but he was glad to see people cared about him, that he mattered. I think it gave him strength. Can you imagine at the last minute? Not one. It's almost like what happened to Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn with the execution. We all understand that story, right? What did she say about King Henry VIII? She said he is a good man or a good king, something like that. He loves his people. Diplomatic to the end. These people who have faced execution, it's interesting how they teach us across timelines how pure their souls were all along. How they were manipulated by other forces, reptilian forces, their own family or whatever. In this case, this man was completely innocent. I doubt he beat up his daughter. I really doubt it. I think she fell. And you know how toddlers fall. You know how knots get on their heads, like it looks like they fucking were slammed against the wall. You know how that happens. You know how easy, and you know how many of us who have been parents of kids with different types of consciousness, neurodivergence, how terrified we are with CPS. How that is a sword over our heads. You know, when they threaten that you take pharma or else, you know that threat. Thank God I never had to do that. Okay, but I remember when we went to ER, when my son was 2 weeks old with a massive fever, massive. And he was projectile vomiting, and how they thought he had meningitis, okay? And I remember my husband turning to me and saying, he's fine. And I said, you realize that CPS will be called if you refuse. He goes, but he's fine. I go, I know that, baby. I know he's fine. They're fucking up. I bet you if we were rich right now, we'd have the test results, not in 5 days, like in the next hours. I said, it's a power play. So you choose. And we had to deal with the circumstances and the consequences, if you get my drift, without me spelling it out, because I do want this on YouTube. So that's exactly what happened to this man. He brought his daughter in, hoping they would take care of her and get that fever down. He probably didn't know exactly what to do. Apparently, he didn't have family members to support him, clearly. And he was accused of something that did not happen. Once again, we have an innocent man facing the death penalty. Bravo, America. Do you know what assholes we look like to the rest of the world? We look like absolute assholes. We do. Sorry. We do. We have to ascend, and ascension doesn't come with capital punishment. It's not a package deal. You choose your battles. When a woman is going to ER with her child, okay, and that child is hitting itself and scratching itself because it's some kids with their different neurodivergence do that to themselves. That's why many people don't go to ER anymore. It's fucking dangerous. You could lose your kid. And CPS will take your kid into the system and bye-bye, gone for fucking years, unless you are making massive money. And I mean massive money, like millions in your bank account, millions. If you don't have millions, you're fucked, because 100 grand's not going to get your kid out. Once it's in, it's in. So this poor man took his kid in. And what is the message to other parents? Don't fucking take your kid in. It's kind of like what's happening with women who are having a miscarriage. And they can't get a DNC. Because they could actually go to jail. Could they actually be? Don't think I'm being dramatic when I say could they actually get the capital punishment? I'm asking a question here. I don't think it's far-fetched. I really don't. We've gone too far with this capital punishment bullshit. And I know Kamala Harris doesn't give a fuck. I'm not sure what Trump thinks, but I don't think that's really his primary concern. He doesn't have a good track record on that shit either. The only reason why I'm leaning towards him a little bit, less and less though, is because of Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard. If those two people were not there, no, fuck that. And to be honest, I'm going to tell you, I'm voting with more Jill Stein because I see humanity in her face. I see outraged humanity. But you know, people do some fucked up things. And I don't think what's happening with us as a people in America is not without consequence. And what's happening with the Geno in Palestine is a massive consequence. It's a price we're paying. You know the old saying, people judge you by the company you keep? You know that saying, right? When you lay down with a dog with fleas, you'll whatever. There's all these sayings that are kind of wise about where we're at as Americans. We are being judged as cruel, dark, greedy, petty, hungry, and without a soul. Because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. And you know what we're supposed to do. We're not doing what the hippies did in the 1960s. We're not. And many of the hippies were doing it because of the perks of LSD, dog, and the sex. But many hippies never stopped being hippies. And many, it broke their hearts to see what happened. And it broke their hearts. Many of them, I remember telling my twin, you're leaving at a good time. This is not a good time to be here. This is a shit show you don't want to see. We should be embarrassed. We should be embarrassed. So not only should we be calling for this man to be saved from this injustice, and if anything, bring him to a hospital so he can get the care he needs, the love he needs, the therapy he needs. Okay? That's what should have happened with the Menendez brothers. They should have never gone to jail. Never. And you had pedos in Hollywood laughing at them. I was talking to one of my, you know who you are, from Norway, this morning. She said they were laughing. And I remember, yeah, they used to make jokes about jokes with the details that these two young boys were talking about. Young men. We don't know the psychology of being abused to that level where you're thinking about cinnamon and lemon. You remember? Did you watch that? Cinnamon and lemon. Can you imagine a 10-year-old coming up with that? So it doesn't taste so bad? Holy shit. And all of this Hollywood bullshit. So you got attorneys that have tapes that don't want to release it because it might take the whole thing down. The rage that many of us are feeling is indignant rage. It's righteous rage. It's even more dangerous than toxic rage. Toxic rage is the French Revolution. That was toxic. This rage is much more powerful and dangerous. And it is becoming its own egregore. They better fucking release those tapes. They better. Because for them to say, we're going to hand it over to the feds. Really? Oh, and that's, I'm sorry, hang on. That's supposed to make me feel better? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know who you're talking to? That shit should be out. Like Julian Assange would have those tapes out. You know that. And that's why they had him away. Everything is so connected to everything. It's shocking. It's overwhelming. But it's important that we have these discussions with our own crew, tribes of people in your neck of the woods, wherever the hell you live in. Now, right now. It's all interconnected. And until we get very, very serious and honest, blindingly, almost like without mercy to our own selves and others, so that we can finally come to a place where we can kumbaya. But we can't come to any kumbaya until we get really serious about these swords over each of our heads. These are swords. And it's interesting because the sword represents truth and cutting bullshit out. So first you gotta be honest, you gotta see everything for what it is, and then you gotta cut it out. That's the process. And for a little while, it hurts. It's like ripping the Band-Aid that's stuck with pus and all that crap on your chest. There's a great scene in, it's as funny as shit actually. It's a great scene. It's The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. Watch that scene. Just pop goes the weasel. It's funny as hell, but it's actually necessary that we do that. All of us, for ourselves and for others. We have to. We cannot be politically correct. This politically correct philosophy that's been pushed on us for the last, 20 years, was by design to keep us muzzled as a people. It was done by design. Let me read your comments. Sorry. I always look up because or else I go off track. Always great to catch your lives. You're so sweet. Thank you. It's horrendous. All of it. Exactly. Andromeda Flame, your piece, I have harder words to use, but I get censored. Yes. Andromeda Flame and I talk about capital punishment. They couldn't use essay evidence. I haven't watched the movie about the Menendez brothers, but it's named Monsters. They made them out as monsters. Yeah, I saw no, watch the documentary instead. Menendez Brothers on Netflix. I agree. I'm going to watch it for the psychology. But the fact that you had grown-ass men, just imagine the fuckery. Just close your eyes for a minute. So you and I are all in our beds watching the Leonard, what was his name? Leo, these talk show hosts. I forgot their names. I don't give a fuck. I haven't watched TV in like 20 years now. It's going to be 20 years. But imagine 20 years ago. It's probably why I didn't watch this whole case, actually. So 20 years ago, you guys are watching TV, and you're watching these talk show hosts talking shit about these kids. Just laughing. Now, let's switch it. And meanwhile, there are Diddy parties, and parties like Diddy's. Hugh Hefner's alive. He's got 4 chicks on the payroll, all under 22, all blonde, all fucking scared. So why are they scared? Because if they don't do what Papa Hefner says, they're on the streets homeless and they'll be blackballed. That's why they're scared. So you've got pedos everywhere laughing at the Menendez brothers, knowing every word they said was true. Knowing, and going to the next party the following night while you go to sleep, right? Thinking the world's a certain way, when in fact it's what David Icke had been saying all along, and he was being laughed at. Treated like he was a fucking pariah. Like he was something wrong with his head. Okay? So it's quite a mindfuck to like wake up today and realize, holy shit, it's a new generation. Jennifer was saying, it's a new generation. You know, people are realizing that this is wrong, that it's good to see a new generation. Well, it's not just a new generation, it's an awakening, right? And it's an awakening to realizing, my God, they were putting me to sleep with their rhetoric all along. There's a video I reposted of what Paul Newman was talking about with Israel and the Palestinian people. And Anthony Bourdain, he said, all things are made in China except courage. It's made in Palestine. This man was a good man. And people go, there was something that happened to him. I did a reading on him. He unalivened himself. Why? Because he couldn't fucking believe humanity. He didn't want to be here anymore. He made a comment about, when I go to certain countries, I know Kissinger's touch, his influence, and I want to beat the fuck out of him. He said that. It's actually on video. I'd never heard that until I think 6 months ago. So you got a man like him traveling around. You wonder why he would just say, fuck this, I'm out? You really think somebody did it for him? No, he believe me. And this weird witchy poo demonic bitch that he was involved with, that was the final. He was like, fuck it, I'm out. The sad part about good women is that we don't chase men. So every man like him And men, that's a notice to you. Go learn how to chase women again, because the good ones are in the back of the room. They're not going to chase your ass. Just that's a side note thing, totally off the track. Good women don't chase men. And if that triggers you as a woman, then maybe you should redefine what that means. It means you're an empress, you're a high priestess. You don't have to salivate for a guy. If he's meant to be yours, he'll be yours. You can sit in the fucking back of any place and he will come to you. It's how it's supposed to work. Your job is to give him eye contact so he knows the door's open. His job is to go hunt. The problem with many of these men, like Anthony Bourdain, Lenny Kravitz, who's become celibate, no fucking shit. And then you got pig guys like, Mick Jagger, who's, impregnating 29-year-old girls. Just the gamut is amazing. But you have to understand, good women, honest women, the kind of woman you're looking for, she doesn't want you married. She's not going to be she's not going to be your mistress. She's not. Unless there's something else that's spiritually going on. But if you're rich, she's there for the money. It's basically an agreement. That rule is broken quite often here and there on a spiritual connection. Twins, this, that. But for the most part, it's something else. Does that make sense? For the most part, it's an exchange of currency. Let's be honest, okay? This is why I actually like SA workers, because at least it's honest. They don't want a relationship, they just want the cash. Okay, cool. There's honesty there. So let's go back to what's going on. So here we have Yuhefner, and now we're connecting did you know there were tunnels? I didn't. Did you know there were tunnels connecting to Diddy's mansions? Because I'm sure he has more than one. Did you know what was going on? Here comes Ali Carter coming out. Meanwhile, if you listen to the interview with Teal Swan with Regina Meredith, where she talks about MK Ultra, you can't fucking make this shit up. People don't make this shit up. It's too horrible. No one wants to live that truth. They don't want to know that happened to them, and yet they had to thrive. So listen to the interview with Regina Meredith and Teal Swan. I particularly don't like Teal Swan. I don't feel connected. But you know what? Like I say many times to you all, please listen to the people that turn you off. There's something that's triggering you. Like, for example, Andrew Tate. Great interview with Candace Owens and Andrew Tate. Look it up. Listen to these people. A lot of this shit's real. And so one of my buddies said to me, I wish Candace Owens would just, stop the Christian coalition bullshit. And I go, well, she's playing a role. Not consciously, don't get me wrong. She's playing a role in this incarnation to get to these Christian thumping, but, we're talking about the ones that are wild about, it's only this book and there's no other truth. Those people, okay. Those people, she has to, in this role of Candace Owens, the role she's playing in this incarnation, she has to do that. She will stay in that. Because if she deviates from that, she'll lose all of them. But right now, they're waking up by what she's saying. Because she is that. Do you understand? We all are playing our roles. We all need to, some of us who are awake, and I'm going to say this, awaken to all this information about Yeshua, about the truth of the Anunnakis, about all that. We're lucky. We're lucky. But don't put your fucking beliefs on someone else whose role when they are incarnated was to say, I'm going to be this, I'm going to educate myself, I'm going to be very, very Christian. That's all I'm going to believe in the good Bible. And yeah, if you're marrying a man, that's a sin. That's what she said. Okay, that's not my words, her words. And that's going to be my premise to go in and talk about conspiracy theories to that population of people so they can wake the fuck up. She's doing exactly what she's supposed to do. So don't get turned off by people who don't believe in what you believe in. Go find the gold nuggets that you need. So yeah, you understand, oh wait, hang on. Yeah, she's doing her part for God and country. She's actually waking up these people that are entrenched, cemented in their points of view, which you and I agree is fucking, they're blind. We know this. You and I know this. There's no argument. But what's interesting about what she's doing is mind-blowing to me. I have great respect for her, and I know she doesn't believe in any of the shit I believe in. She probably would think I'm a witch or I'm demonically possessed. I don't give a fuck. The point is what she's saying to these people is what you and I believe in. Except her persona is important so that the door is open in that sector of the population. Does that make sense? No, we are the kind who wants to take care of our planet instead. Inhumanity broke him. A great man silenced by sadness. Absolutely. I did a reading. It was weird. But you would think me as a psychic. I don't do what Bellas, whatever her name is, does. I don't fucking take people's shit and throw it on the streets, okay? And I'm not putting her down. Everyone has a role, like I said. But I personally don't do that. But I did this as a reading privately because I really loved him. When I first read Kitchen Confidential, but I almost peed my pants. I was reading chapter 1. I was laughing so hard. I swear to God. The way he writes is irreverent. The man was brilliant, okay? He was brilliant. But he had a heart. He had a big heart. And the more you travel, and I can attest to that myself because I lived in Hong Kong. I've lived in Africa. I've lived in different parts of the planet that were the diversity of how people live was incredible, and I saw the levels of poverty you can't fathom. You have to see it to believe. You've seen pictures, but to see it, to smell it, it's a whole different thing. And then you're walking into absolute massive money, chauffeurs, Rolls Royces, valets, butlers, that kind of, yeah. So, no, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that taught me something at the age of, 3, 5, 13, 14. It made me who I am today. And so when you see shit like that, and he totally outguns me in that level, absolutely, because he did it for a massive chunk of years, right? And he did it as a grown-ass man. And so the fact that he was hunting for food that was street food brought him in front of humanity at its, in other words, at its most poor. And yeah, that would break someone's heart because he knew that we as Americans, our government, our administrations, various ones, were responsible for this disparity. Hence why we have fucking immigrants all over the world. Do you think that if you were comfortable in your home and you were safe and you didn't have people banging or breaking into your house and doing all, if that's the reality, because that's what people are running from, if that's the reality of their lives, can't you understand why they would want to leave? Doesn't that make sense? Isn't that why many Americans are going to Europe? Because they can't stand the administration. They couldn't stand the lockdown. They couldn't stand the shit. And they want pure food. They figure, well, all governments are fucked, but at least in that country, I get free medical care. If I have a root canal, it's going to cost me $100, not fucking $3,000. The food is pure. GMO's outlawed. Roundup is outlawed. Monsanto's outlawed. Yeah, if I'm going to get fucked over, and since I'm not one part of the 1%, let me go to Norway. Let me go to Italy. Let me go to Spain. Let me go to Portugal, France, whatever, right? Doesn't that make sense? Okay, so we know that, right? The fact that this administration has done the level of stupidity where they airlifted 500,000 people from a certain country and just dropped them in the middle of the again, we are being run by people who have no business running a fucking car. They shouldn't even have a license to drive a fucking car. They don't have enough fucking sense. And we think, and it's not a joke, I'm actually being quite literal. This is not a metaphor. Because if you can't see what is right and wrong, if you can't see that there are children that are being put in rice bags and carried by their siblings, sobbing. And these images are millions of images where the Hague, the very court that took care of the little guy with the mustache in the 40s, right? That took care of what he had done and what his henchmen had done. That same court, it's okay for them, but not okay for the Palestinians. And as I said in a last live, we most likely, okay, knowing that Yeshua, his mother had a sister, right? And his father must have had brothers. I mean, in those days, no one had just one child. They had 10, 12, 13, 15 children, and out of that, maybe 8 or 9 survived. So we know the DNA was there. Okay, this beautiful DNA of Yeshua was out there. All I can tell you right now, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Whoever was walking in those streets of Palestine that had that DNA. It's gone. Let that sink in. I have seen these people, Christian and Muslim in Palestine, and I'm not calling that country, but I'm calling it by its rightful name, where people had to actually get out Bibles from the 1800s and show Golda Meir's first passport that said Palestine, and prove it with stamps. Prove something that any idiot can figure out. And at the end of the day, we are doing way too much harm. We're doing harm to this man, Robert Robertson. We're doing harm to each other. We're doing harm to countries. For one country to be, for the right to defend itself. Defend itself from what? Children? Rocks? It's gone too far. And the bitch about karma, the bitch about karma, it never misses its mark. And the problem is that we're standing too near the target of the karma. That means you and I are going to get affected. You don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. We both know that. We all know that. But we are standing on American soil, allowing the harm to continue. From capital punishment to our own people, to FEMA doing the fuckery, to staged relief buses, planes being staged for photo ops, for Kamala to stand in front of it. And it's the weirdest. I mean, it's like, I don't think there's a sci-fi writer from Aldous Huxley to, I can't think of anyone that could write this like this. There's not a movie we've ever seen that could actually unfold like this. If we watched a movie like this, we'd all be going, yeah, good luck. That'll never happen. And here we are, standing. This is season 2. No, actually season 5. Yeah, we're going to be going on season 5 next year. Now, let me also address something that's come up that's interesting, is that there are people who are really beautiful souls who are pushing the agenda that we have 7 more years on the planet, that we will be destroyed, okay? And I want to read what you have to say. Hang on. Yeshua most likely had siblings. The lack of universal medical care in the U.S. is antonym to us on this side. Yeah, it's insane. We're over here and can't even wrap our heads around this. Yeah, universal hair care. Well, because people have been taught in this country to fucking fear socialized medicine. Sweetie pies, if you're not making $250,000, you better embrace socialized medicine. You can't afford it. John Q, Denzel Washington, heart transplant. Remember that movie? Go watch it again with Transcendental Eyes. Here we are. There are people, I can tell you my twin passed because we didn't have the money to get him the kind of care he needed for his brain cancer. I can tell you that. You know, do you know that if he had been in Europe, he would have been cared for? And if it was his fate to die, he would have, but at least he would have gotten the care. He got nothing here. Nothing. Great neurosurgeon that did the, that got a biopsy to see what it was. And then there was nothing else because of his age, because of this, because of that. There are all kinds of things that could have happened. In fact, he was misdiagnosed 6 months before the final diagnosis. The healthcare system here is shit. The reason why people come here from all kinds of, all over the world to come here to become doctors is because no other country can you get that kind of money. No other country pays you that kind of money. None. You better get that in your head. None. That's why you have so many doctors that have foreign names. You wonder? Oh, it's because we got the best. No, it's because you got the best salary, not the best training. The best salary. Let's get that straight. Let's not be arrogant and ignorant. No other country makes that kind of money. As a plastic surgeon, as you know, because all of you are going, many of you are going to fucking Turkey and Japan and different places for plastic surgery. So clearly, no one may. Here, a man can demand $50,000 for a facelift. In Turkey, it's 6,000. Do you see? So just that, just on plastic surgery, you would know there's. So if that's true for plastic surgery, what do you think it means for a regular doctor, a heart surgeon, a neurosurgeon? You see where I'm going here, right? It's weird how we don't use common sense to connect the dots. It's bizarre to me because it's right in your face. So if you're not making $250,000, you better want socialized medicine. That means medicine for all. It doesn't matter. Don't get scared. It's not like the Canadian system. We can all look at best practices all over the world. There are best practices. There was an American woman who had breast cancer. Within a week, they diagnosed it. Within a week, she was in surgery. Then they decided that they would do homeopathic to check to see how that was going to go. Then they said, I think you need chemo. It's going to spread. We're seeing a little bit. Let's get it. There was no bullshit. No writing letters. No being approved. No being referred. Things that cost people's life. Tick, tick, tick. So, do you see why all of this is happening? Do you see why, for going back to our stars, or fuck that word stars, they don't deliver us. We're the stars. These celebrities are coming down. We don't need any more distractions. This is not the fucking circus. Meaning, if you remember what they used to do in Rome, distract them, throw bread at them, just to placate. Here's some bread. We know you're not. We know you're hungry, but here's some bread, and here's some blood, bread and blood. So we're not that. Like, if you're into footballs and soccer, stop wasting your fucking time. Start reading good books. Men out there, women, stop watching these dumb Hallmark movies, please. And get into your meditation practice. Read good books. Watch Gaia TV. Form groups. Not to read Jane Austen. We know Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen, but she's dead. Okay, she's been gone for damn near. Please, let's stop. Let's now read books on how we can heal our family lineage. Let's have group book clubs based on that. Let's every month come up with Untethered Soul, this book, that book. Let's just start doing these kinds of book clubs. And let's start educating ourselves and having discussions like this. Oh, this is really uncomfortable. Yes. Isn't that exciting? It's uncomfortable. We're about to grow. We're going to grow up. That's what we're supposed to do with our time. And we're supposed to also unify and call these bastards on death penalties like this when you hear about this, right? When you hear about a man who basically got fucked over by CPS. Basically, that's it. CPS, the police, and the doctors. Some doctors are amazing. Don't get me wrong. There's some fantastic, loving, oh my God. And they know what I'm talking about, the fuckery of some other doctors. Forcing of medicines, fucking up the medicines, forcing parents to give medicines. A pediatrician has no right to write a script for ADHD. No business. None. I don't even know why that's allowed. Most of the shit prescribed are outlawed in the UK and Europe for children. They're diagnosing 18-month-olds with bipolar disorder. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you know that? Do you know that many kids on welfare that are on the system in this country, I can speak of this country, I don't know about the rest, that are on 7 to 8 medicines? I remember I had a client. It was this is when I was working for a company called Psychic Source. You know, these 20-minute calls. And this client was asking me about, she was saying, well, he pees in his bed. Now, what's the sign we all know about a child that's 9, 10, I think he was 8 or 9, that pees in his bed? Something's happening, right? Do we all know this? I hope we all know this. But no, instead she got medication so he'd stop peeing in his bed. And because it was a side effect of hitting the kidneys, she had another medication for that. But she also had medications for his autism. You can't make this shit up. The kid was on 7 or 8 things. At 8 or 9. That's not normal. But the scripts get pushed because Everyone's getting a piece of that action. Everyone. Multiply that by millions, and you kind of get the picture why it's a billion-dollar industry, trillion-dollar industry. Pew pew, capital punishment, commercial prisons, and no health care. Exactly. Any recommendation on literature regarding healing chakras? Yeah, the best person is on chakras, you'll agree, Andromeda Flame, is Cindy Dale. It's a sign of trauma. Of course it is. Cindy Dale, you can also visit Andromeda Flame on her website. Just scroll up, you'll see Andromeda Flame. You'll see her, and you can follow her. She's doing a whole series. She's been doing a whole series on chakras. But in terms of literature, go ahead and read anything by Cindy Dale. She's got a book. Forgot what it's called. Chakra. It's the size of a fucking Gutenberg Bible. Okay, and so yeah. So that would be who I recommend. And then that's for the 7 chakras, but learn the 9 chakras, and there's 15 chakras. We have hundreds of chakras, but so the 9 chakras are somatic. I have, if you look at my guided meditation, Ho'oponopono, which might be very helpful for any of you, so you can forgive yourself, but also learn your 9 somatic chakras. Learn your chakras. Get a chart on your chakras. I don't know why they're not releasing any drawings with 9 chakras. I don't understand. But all you'll see is 7. If any of you know where to find, I'm actually thinking of fucking drawing it myself. Honestly, fuck it, because it's like, and I usually draw it myself for my, just like I drew it for my mother, so she knew what to look for. But yeah. So I hope that helps. That's a sign of trauma. Everyone wants a quick fix. Exactly. No one wants to be responsible. No one wants to fucking look at shit. So and what's happened is we've lost our wisdoms. You need to connect with herbalists. There's certain herbalists that have an amazing respect and amazing love of nature. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Japanese knotweed is aka resveratrol. Now, what is resveratrol? It's an antioxidant. Now, what does Japanese knotweed do? Well, besides being resveratrol and being an antioxidant, it actually hits and it can actually breach the blood-brain barrier, which is a problem when you get Lyme disease. It's one of the protocols of the famous herbalist Stephen Buhner. Healing Lyme. Look up his book, Stephen Buhner. Just put Stephen with the P-H-E-N. Just put that. Lyme disease book, Stephen, like spelled with a P-H. Find his book, put in your library. He has a book on antibiotics. He has a book on viral, okay? On natural antibiotics and natural viral. Everyone should have books like that in their library. Because, and you want to kind of, if you know you're settled in your home, then you need to actually learn and turn half of your kitchen into an apothecary. Okay, so that you have these herbs on hand, you have these tinctures. And so my twin ended up getting Lyme disease in 2016, and I knew he had bullseyes. And the first doctor in ER said, "Oh, it's just laundry detergent." I thought I was going to lose my shit. Please don't call the cops on me. I'm about to lose it, right? And I had to tell this doctor in ER at 3:00 in the morning, "You better find me someone who actually knows what they're fucking doing, and you better admit him." I was not taking any bullshit. He was admitted at 6:30 in the morning. An older gentleman walked by, took one look at him and go, "Yeah, Lyme disease." So he was on the antibiotics, but after reading the book, I realized that there was no way that was going to work for the long term because they morph. Lyme disease morphs into spirochete and all kinds of, and I fucking don't remember half the, the breakdown, but I do remember there was cat's claw, Andrographis, which is the king of bitters, and you do not want to take it as a powder. You want to capsule it because it's so fucking noxious. And so devil's claw, cat's claw, and Japanese knotweed. And guess where Japanese knotweed grows? It grows everywhere where I live. Everywhere. It's everywhere. There's an abundance. Literally, I could start a business while crafting Japanese knotweed, but no one knows what it's for. So the state I live in, they see it as a weed, as something to get rid of. And actually, when it grows in abundance, it means Lyme is about to hit hard in that sector of, a region. And so Japanese knotweed is an intelligent plant. It is consciousness. And by the way, it's just, some of you know me, you follow me. It grows around that statue you guys saw pictures that I took of Archangel Gabriel. And then they came in with their bulldozers and bulldozed the shit out of it. So me and my son grabbed a root. The root has these beautiful milky red buds. It's in the root. That's when you know it's real. And then you've got Japanese knotweed, and we replanted it on our land. I kid you not, because I want it to grow in our land because it's a healing plant. You can actually eat the leaves. The young leaves are good for a salad. It's pharma has done massive damage, okay, in terms of what they've taught and what they've removed, all of this incredible wisdom. So Stephen Buhner, I think he's traveled all over the world, and he has taught people these simple techniques to heal thyself, right? And so some of the things that we did when we had the diagnosis, and my son's brilliant, like, I mean, Einstein brilliant. I'm not joking. I'm not bragging either. Most of these kids are. Most of these kids are fucking... So if you have, or you know someone who has a child, they cannot take verbal IQ test. They cannot take the regular IQ test that the other kids take. They need to be given nonverbal IQs. And nonverbal IQ tests will show their brilliance. Some of them are as far up as 170 IQ. There are certain factions who claim they're brilliant, but they've taken a certain IQ test, and they're very arrogant and they're very racist for the most part, by the way. And so the minute you're racist, you're not brilliant, are you? You're an idiot. So right there, it shows a low IQ. So the IQ test they took was a certain test that was for that particular mindset. Does that make sense? Because a person that's really has a true high IQ and EQ isn't going to be racist. And if they are aware of some little things, deficits in them that stinks of racism, they'll be hyper aware of it and they'll try to repair it. For example. But many of these kids are absolutely brilliant and they're nonverbal. And we saw, it's funny, we all know the story of Helen Keller and her caretaker who was able to breach through all, I mean, I don't even know, to this day, to me, that's a miracle. I mean, just think, she can't see, she can't hear, she can't speak. How the fuck were they able to breach all that and teach her how to communicate back? That in itself, there's no movie that's ever done justice to that story. It's mind-blowing. But it shows you, right? Because in that period of time, where were they sending all these kids? Up until the 1970s. In homes, right? To hide them away. So, but for the most part, the explosion of the autistic spectrum is explained by, best person that's ever explained it ever on a spiritual level was Abraham Hicks. Anyway, any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there. Please go and see if you can, please make a phone call to stop this execution. Robert Robertson, again, the phone number is 361 area code 264-9653. I broke down the numerology on this shit. He is to be executed October 17th. Again, the phone number is 361-264-9653. Ask everyone you know to make phone calls. And I want to send you much love on your journey. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. Namaste.